everyone, thanks for joining me today. I'm very excited to be here with you because I will be doing a quick little reading using the Alcento tarot deck. This is because I had a subscriber ask if I could throw down some cards so they could see the cards in action, and of course it sounded like a great idea. So I wanted to jump on today and use the Alcento to do a Celtic cross spread for us, keeping Gemini in mind because it is Gemini season now. Today is actually, as I record this, the first day. And I figured it might be fun to do a Gemini first decan tarot card reading. So I'm going to find the Gemini card so I can have it here as a little signifier, and we'll go from there. All right, so here we have the Gemini card. We'll set it there to the side. This will work as our focus for this reading. Let me move the guidebook as well. All right, so let's go ahead and shuffle the cards. My hands are kind of smaller, so as such, I generally break my decks into 2 or 3 little piles because then they are much more manageable for me. There are several cards in this deck that I am not very familiar with, but I figure we'll just go for it and just have some fun with this deck and the reading. I do have the full set of cards in here, so 99 because we took that one out. And again, as a reminder, this is going to be a Celtic cross spread to give us some thoughts and insights for Gemini first decan, the first 10 days of the zodiac sign. Let's see what we get. So there we have the King of Discs being crossed by the 2 wands, the Star, the World Soul, the Hanged Man, and the 8 of Discs, the 9 of Swords, 7 of Wands, Hope, and the Ace of Wands. Okay, great little spread here. We did get one card that's not typically included in tarot decks, so we'll work with that. Otherwise, the rest are looking pretty familiar. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Here at the heart of the spread, we have the King of Discs being crossed by the 2 of Wands. So the King of Discs is connected to the earth sign, resources, abundance, right? They are the king sitting on top of their worldly possessions, in charge. I like that this deck includes the green color because it reminds me of that growth and abundance, which is so related to the King of Discs or Pentacles in other tarot decks. We see the slow-moving turtle because discs are not very fast-moving. It takes a long time to become the king in charge of a whole empire, right? You don't become rich overnight. So I like that we see the turtle there. He's stepping on what looks like this hog over here in the corner. And then it's being crossed by the 2 of Wands, which is great because this is actually the card on the cover of this deck. The 2 of Wands, very calculative here, taking measurements, making sure that they're going to get things just right. This card is linked to Aries, spring season, and it reminds us of kind of the headspace we might be in at the start of a journey, when we're kind of working things out, just like this man here. We see the color red, which I love because it reminds us that Wands is all about action, passion, taking passionate action, right? He has something that's fueling his fire. He has a burning passion for something, and he's taking his time to see what he can do to bring about the results that he seeks. And so a cross can be, the Two of Wands might become an obstacle for the king, or it could just be two people coming across each other and having some sort of interaction. It could also be, I like to think about it possibly like a square aspect, where it could be an opportunity for growth, for development, for improvement, for something positive to come about, even though it might have some friction to begin with. So, you might want to consider how your plans might be obstructed. I do believe that if it hasn't happened already, it is happening right about now. Saturn moving into Aries, which is actually a perfect kind of depiction here, because Saturn is connected to Capricorn, the earth sign here, and Aries is very much so. The Two of Wands this is one of the decans for Aries. So this is a great illustration actually of Saturn moving into Aries, which I think, maybe we would see it more this way, Saturn moving into Aries, but regardless, it's that same concept of maybe having some delays in gratification, some delays in seeing the results that we want. We may be planning or having, we may be having these grandiose ideas, these great plans and desires for some amazing things in our life, but there might be a bit of a slow turning of the wheel, right? It might be taking, like this little turtle, things might be taking their time to come to fruition. So I would say, hang in there during these first 10 days. Things might be slow moving, but Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes time for great things to happen. So keep at it. And ideally, soon enough, we'll get those results that we want. In the bottom position here, we have the world soul. So this is often considered things that might be in your subconscious, things that you already have, what you're standing on, like possessions you might already have at hand, your deep past. These are all ways to interpret this card here. And I think it's a great one for this position in particular, because the world soul is a lot about endings and new beginnings. So we might be at the end of a cycle here, and in truth, we are at the end of a Taurus season and at the beginning now of this new Gemini season that we're starting off. So that's one way to see that, but there may be other things in your life that might be coming to a close as we move into the first 10 days of Gemini, and as something else might be taking its place. When there's a void in our life because it's ended, we're creating space for new things. And so I think it makes sense that with endings come new beginnings. And so here we have a nice card to illustrate that. The world is at her feet. The world is full of possibilities here when this card comes out. And so I think it's just a nice one to have here in our deep past, in our subconscious, or a position that we're standing on. We are at the precipice here, which I think aligns really well with the Two of Wands actually, because this is also a card that signifies being at the beginning of a journey. In the crowning position, we have the Star, card number 17. Another great card, I think, actually, for this position. The Star connects to Aquarius, the 11th house, our hopes and dreams, our ambitions, our guiding light, the things that we want in life. And so actually it's a perfect place for that card there. We have our goals, our dreams on our mind. You know, we're thinking about the things that we desire, and you know, those things are on our mind. So I think that's something to consider here, right, with these cards. Behind us is the Hanged Man. So maybe there have been some delays, right? Like the little turtle here. Maybe we've been forced to take stock, to really pause, consider things, and we were ready to move beyond that or past that. But anyway, so just, you know, we may be coming from possibly a frustrating situation or a situation where we've just had to be patient. And we're moving into the Eight of Discs area here where we're ready to get down and dirty. We're ready to get started. So the Eight of Discs is linked to hard work, to Virgo. So kind of appropriate because Mercury is the ruling planet for both Gemini and for Virgo, so a little connection there. So definitely here I see a connection to the King of Discs, both Earth cards there, so we're ready to kind of get to work and get the ball rolling. So that's the state there. We have abundance and resources. We have some plans on our mind, possibly, you know, a hardship there, getting our plans aligned so that we can see the fruits of our labor. We are coming from a bit of a pause, needing to be patient, but we're moving into this hardworking stage here. We have our hopes and dreams on our mind, and we are in a good position to start something new. All right, here we have the 4 staff cards. First one here is the Nine of Swords. And so the Nine of Swords really shows someone who's haunted by something, their thoughts, something is nagging at this person, right? Just like we see here. We have a monkey on our shoulder. Something is bothering us and just won't let us rest. There may be a bit of tension in our life, maybe with somebody close to us, with Gemini here in the picture, and this being a Gemini card, it could be a family member. This time of the year falls between, right, Mother's Day, Father's Day. It could be a father figure. The King of Discs here could kind of be pointing towards the father figure. Maybe that's on our minds with Father's Day coming up. And so there's something that's keeping us up, whether at night or just bothering us throughout the day, right? That's what these swords here represent, thoughts that just won't let us be. And so it's, you know, good to maybe try and identify what it is that might be bothering us. Is it a parental figure? Is it all the planning that we're trying to do to achieve our hopes and dreams? Is it that we're just tired of waiting around for things to work out? Is it that we just don't know how to get the ball rolling? We're eager to get started, but we feel stuck in place or stuck somehow. So it's good to maybe take some time to identify that for yourself. Do a little bit of reflecting. Just a helpful tip. Sometimes it's good to set things down in writing and get them off your mind so they're not nagging at you as you move through your day. But moving on from that card, we have here the second card, which represents your house, your immediate environment, maybe the people closest to you. And for that, we have the Seven of Wands. Here she is fighting off all of these that are coming at her. So this is a bit of a defensive card. It could be, you know, arrows coming at you. A lot of things could be happening in your life. You might be having a lot of tasks that you may need to tackle, and it's just, you know, like getting a handle on all of those things. That could be connecting here back to the Two of Wands with, trying to make your plans work out, but maybe you're needing to juggle a lot of different things in your life. You may be having a lot of demands. Again, we are moving into Father's Day. Maybe there's a lot of get-togethers or plans that people want to bring about for the father figure in your life. You might be dealing with some issues from the deep past about that. At any rate, this just illustrates that there's a lot going on in your environment. A lot of things are happening and you're just having to stay on top of it. Good news is here she does have the upper hand. She's sitting on this little box. It's a little bit treacherous, right? The box could be a little slippery and she could fall if she's not careful. But it's about taking careful action, staying on top of things, and just not giving in to the pressure. So hang in there, just be cautious, and things should be all right. Which I think is highlighted for sure with our third card here, which is hope. One that we're not used to seeing in a tarot deck, but a very special and unique card, especially given that it's in this position, which is typically associated to our hopes, fears, and dreams. So a great little card there. I think it's literally telling us, right, that to have hope, take heart, don't give up. It might feel like a bit of a stressful, tense situation. It might feel like things are slow to come, but hang in there, I think, is the message here. Have hope. There is the little lighthouse that's guiding this ship so that they won't get wrecked. And I think that's a good message for us to have here in our hopes and dreams. A word of caution, illustrated in the guidebook for this card as well, is that you want to have this positive hope, which gives us the strength essentially to keep going. It gives us purpose, but you do want to avoid having just blind hope or kind of using those darker aspects of hope where hope isn't helpful, it just becomes an enabler. So you want to be aware of that. Use hope in a positive way where it keeps you grounded, keeps you going, keeps your faith alive in the purpose that you are pursuing, but doesn't interfere with showing you where the red flags are. It is important to notice when the floor is slippery, right? We want to avoid those kinds of issues. We want to be aware of them, and not just blinded by our idealistic goals or whatever. We want to make sure that we're being realistic in our pursuits. And so I think that hope is kind of leading us in that way. You want to be grounded and purposeful, and not just blindly kind of, crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. So it is a realistic kind of hope, I think. And then in the final outcome, we have the Ace of Wands, which is a beautiful card. I think the Ace, right, brings up this idea of new beginnings, in this case related to actions. So potentially here, seeing what can we do different, tying it back to the Two of Wands, making sure that we are looking at things from all angles and coming at things from a different angle. If things aren't working this way, okay, let's try something new. And basically that's what this card is. It's trying something new. So I think when things are slow to come, when we're doing some meticulous work, it's always good to stay open to, adjusting our approach to things. And that's what I see here with the Ace of Wands. So yeah, overall, I think a great little reading here. Cards to be mindful of, I think, are most of all the Nine of Swords here, which reflects usually the mindset that we might be having. And definitely the Nine of Swords is more of a negative outlook on things, but there are ways to work around that, right? Making sure that we write down our worries and get them out of our mind somehow, making sure that we take action on those things that worry us and that we don't just sit on things and hope that they'll just go away on their own, because things never go away. And it's always good to know that doing nothing is also making a choice. So coming back to that hope card, it's about making sure that we're taking purposeful action. So, all right, I'll go ahead and finish that up there. Some closing thoughts here for this deck. I think it works really well. I enjoyed reading with it. I love that it's kind of a combination of tarot and almost this feeling of like oracle as well, since it includes kind of these different cards, you know? So I would say overall, my experience was great. I really liked it. Initially, I was a little like hesitant to include the full deck because I'm not so familiar with some of those additional cards, but I think it worked out well. And I loved how it really was appropriate. It really added something to the reading. I liked having this little card back here as a signifier and a reminder of what the reading was about. Overall, I would say really great deck. Kind of a combination between tarot and oracle. So I really liked that. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the reading today, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.